A warm welcome to all our listeners. This is a Corner Chat Let's Talk Business with Mr. Daniel Steinman and myself, Elsa Vinyani, as your hostess. A warm welcome to you as well, Mr. Daniel Steinman.
Thank you, Elsa, and thank you to all our listeners.
So we are talking about productivity. Today we use the word a lot, productivity, wishing you a productive week, may it be productive, and all that messages that goes through. But do we really understand the power that it holds?
Elsa, it is an economic concept. So the way that we use it in a popular sense is more like wishing you well. May you be very productive. But in an economic sense, it's a clearly defined concept. If you talk about productivity, there's no misunderstanding what it is that you are investigating. And perhaps I should start by saying what it is. But I think we're going to lose all our listeners, because productivity is the ratio between a unit of production and a unit of product. Now that is a mouthful. Because what is a unit of production and what is a unit of product? So let's make it very simple. If you want to produce, let's say, toys, wooden toys, something that we can manufacture in Namibia, small cars for boys and little prams for girls. So I'm not talking about small toys. I'm talking about those toys that you can play with. So anybody can imagine what it's like for a 2-year-old toddler, how big that tractor that you build out of wood must be. And for a 2-year-old girlie, that little perambulator, do you know that big word? I'm going to come back to that now. What size the perambulator must be for the girl? So let's say you need 6 people in a factory of about 50 square meters to produce 20 of these toys in a week. So your unit of input would be, first of all, your labor, which you reduce to a unit cost. Then it would be your infrastructure, which includes your building. So we call it plant and equipment. The building plus the wooden or the saws you need, the woodwork equipment inside your factory. And that would give you a certain overhead, a certain cost. And we reduce that to a unit cost. And for that, our units of product, let's say we can manufacture 10 of these toys in a week. 20, it's irrelevant. It is just so that our listeners can understand the concept. There are units of production, what you need to produce, and there are units of product, the toys, how many you can make. So that ratio that I was referring to is that relationship between what you need to invest to put down in terms of a factory and to employ people to do the actual work. That relationship to how many of whatever it is that you produce, you can produce for that cost without increasing the cost. Very important factor. So when it comes to productivity, our productivity in Namibia is very low. It is, I want to use the word, appalling. But, and this is what is so interesting, it is not lower than, let's say, productivity in the Mexican economy or the Turkish economy or even the Argentinian economy lately. So it's very comparable. I don't think productivity in Namibia is higher than in South Africa, but in South Africa it's also not very good. It is good in certain sectors. Like, for instance, their car manufacturing industry. It's world class. So their productivity has to be high, otherwise they can't compete. But we don't manufacture cars in Namibia. We assemble a few Peugeots in Walfish Bay. I don't know if we still do it.
Yes, we still
we still do it. But we can build wooden toys in a small factory. So, and we can produce our productivity relates mostly to agribusinesses because for the rest, the broader economic playing field is so small.
Yeah.
But if you look at what it costs to and what we get from it, so what I'm trying to point out, Elsevier, is that if you approach this from an economics point of view, you come to a point where you measure total input cost.
Yeah.
In other words, to run that small factory is costing us $10,000 a day. To the value of total output.
Yeah.
In other words, for those 10 or 20 tractors that we produce, toys, we can get 10 or 20,000 dollars in a month for all of them.
Yeah.
So do you see where we're going? I'm trying to.
Yeah, I do.
I'm trying to get away from that very theoretical academic thing about productivity.
Yeah.
And making it practical.
Yeah.
You can understand. So it means you've got the input cost and you've got what we call sales income. It's revenue, but it's not that simple. But it also doesn't need to be that complicated. How much does it cost to make what we do? And if we sell all of them, let's say full production, how much do we get in? That is a ratio.
Yeah.
There's a relationship between those two values.
Yeah.
If it costs you more than what you get in, the bank come and they close you down.
You might as well close yourself down.
You can just save yourself a lot of trouble and close yourself down.
Yeah.
If you get in more than what it costs you to produce, there's a little surplus. We call that surplus a profit. And this is the whole fundamental thing about productivity.
Yeah.
Without increasing the input cost, we want to increase the revenue as much as is possible.
Surely. And on that one, let's quickly go for a short break. Once we come back, we continue this talk.